now.
Sure. No worries.
All right. So we are finally live. Hey, how's it going today? My name is Juno.
Are you talking to me? I'm doing well, thank you.
Yes,
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Aaron Ryan. I'm an author. Been an author since second grade, which would have been 1981. So I'm really old, and really just loving the current pursuit of writing. Working on a wonderful trilogy prequel right now, and can't wait to release it.
Awesome. And can we just get started talking about any of your books?
I'd love to. I'm actually gonna. I should have grabbed these beforehand, but I am the author of the best-selling. I should add that. I always love to add that. Dissonance Volume One Reality. This is the opener to a sci-fi alien invasion trilogy. It moves on to Dissonance Volume Two Reckoning, which was this was released January 1st of this year. This was released March 20th of this year, and the final volume in the trilogy is called Dissonance Volume Three Renegade, and that will release this Saturday on my 51st birthday. I am tremendously excited for how it turned out, and I'm currently looking at you in this screen, and right over here on my ultra wide is 283 pages of the prequel entitled Dissonance Volume Zero Revelation, and it is like the other ones, turning out way better than I could have ever hoped for.
That is super exciting. I can't wait to hear about the book dropping.
Yeah.
So what is your book about?
So essentially, the book is taking place in the year 2042. There was an alien invasion. I say was past tense in 2026. Obviously, we're not there yet. But in 2026, these beings floated down out of the sky and they hovered there for 3 months, 50 feet above the ground. More and more and more came until eventually, the skies were dotted with these things. We didn't know what they wanted. We didn't know what they were. It was an ominous, foreboding, disquieting presence that just all of a sudden, infiltrated Earth. That was June 6th, 2026. Well, on September 3rd, 2026, they activated. And they were all at the same time, essentially, humankind killing predators that decided to fan out all over the globe and hunt down all of us. And within 3 months, 85% of humanity was killed off. So roughly 80%, another 5% were killed off by natural disaster, inclement weather, inhospitable conditions, environmental disasters, and man-made disasters like nuclear reactors melting down. They are aliens. We call them Gorgons. The reason why we call them that is they are equipped with a unique ability to immobilize us where we stand. We cannot look at them. Thus the tagline, whatever you do, don't look. You cannot look at these things because they essentially have the ability to immobilize you, paralyze you telepathically, at which point you're frozen, and then they can eat you at their leisure. So it's horrible. It's immobilizing. It's paralyzing to fight against them because you can't look. You would be shadow boxing and trying to, fight your way out of a corner. So we're already handicapped trying to, battle back against these things. And they're all over the planet. So we're reduced to eking out an existence in the shadows is what we're doing.
That's great. I honestly love like alien stories or just aliens in general, especially when you think about what ifs would happen because you don't actually know what will happen.
Right.
And it's always great.
This turned into something that I honestly, many authors I think will say this too. When they first put pen to paper, I didn't have any idea where the story would go. I'm expecting the hard copies of Dissonance Volume 3 Renegade to arrive this Saturday, beginning this Saturday, when an awesome birthday present. And it evolved organically. It grew far beyond my expectations, but it's not simply an alien story. It's not simply a monster story. There are so many other nefarious forces that are coming into play. I'm choosing my words carefully not to, reveal a spoiler. But there are nefarious forces that the protagonists end up fighting. They're fighting a war on multiple fronts. There are people working against them, eroding their confidence in, in government and military. Uh, and it just turned into a robust story that I'm so proud of. I'm so proud of how it turned out. As you can tell, I really do like aliens. Here is Ripley from the movie Aliens and Hicks. It's the only way to be sure. Vote for them in 2024.
That's very awesome. So is this series your only series or have you written other books?
So I am a voiceover artist. I don't know if you can see the studio behind me. I've been doing that since 1993 as well. And I am currently the voice of many Fortune 500 companies. I'm right now the voice of United Healthcare. So you may have heard my voice on the air, TV commercials, and whatnot. Um, the voiceover pursuit has been wonderful, but part of that voiceover pursuit was writing books to the voiceover community, and I actually have them sitting over there. But I wrote 6 voiceover business books under my former stage name, which was Josh Alexander. Many actors go under a stage name. I assumed one, and so I wrote the books all under those. But if you look at the front covers, it's clearly me. It's this ugly mug on those covers. So you can look and go, that's definitely him. So that's a series of 3. There's a trilogy of voiceover business books, and then 3 other books that I had put together. And so the long answer to a very short question is no, but it won't be the last. This one is actually going to be a quadrilogy when all is said and done.
It's awesome. Which book was your favorite writing?
Um, I would say by far, actually, it was the Dissonance Volume 3 Renegade. There's an exponential growth curve in your writing process, in your maturation as a writer as you go. And I did research, performed in-depth research for each of them. But Volume 3 is a behemoth. It takes the protagonist and other characters places they've never gone before, and it involved an inordinate amount of research into the military. So I was communicating with an Army chopper pilot. I was communicating with a retired 35-year captain of an Air Force carrier, a lieutenant colonel of the Air Force, 2 senior airmen of the Air Force, and got one heck of a lot of really good information and research in order to achieve what I call, I love the word verisimilitude, the feeling that what you're reading is actually real. It could exist somewhere, and it's well researched and just sounds legit. So loved writing 1, even more loved writing 2, but oh my, did I love writing 3. And I'm sorry, this is a really long answer to this question, but I will say that there are characters who die in the trilogy. Big surprise. They're fighting aliens. But having gone back to write the prequel, it has been so refreshing to resurrect those characters. They're alive again. They're young and healthy. And it was a really sweet and unexpected joy to go back and be able to write their names again.
You definitely make being an author sound extremely fun.
It's very fun. It's very enjoyable. I don't like playing God when you have to kill off a character to advance the protagonist's mission or their passion for a pursuit or their reason for pursuing it. It becomes a catalyst, but I don't like that power that I have to simply type, someone was dead or someone died. It's hard. And you feel so close to these people. But other than that, the writing, the cover design, the marketing, the telling people about it, I love being an author.
And of course, there is definitely so much that goes into writing. What part would you think is your favorite?
What part of writing? Um,
Yes.
well, there's 2 different writers. I mean, most people will say there's 2 different styles of writing. There's a pantser and a planner. Pantser is more organic, kind of fly by the seat of your pants. Let the story evolve organically. Let the protagonist lead you. Don't really, know where you're going. You can have mileposts and guideposts along the way in order to, you know, uh, have some sense of forward momentum and direction. But you kind of let it evolve naturally. That's a pantser. A planner is more bullet point. Everything is They go here and then here and then here and they're here, and there's a reason for all of these because that is planned. I am kind of a mixture of both, and I like that. I like that hybrid style of composing a story.
That is awesome. And we have one question so far in the comments. Can check that
I,
out.
I
It
see
says
that.
a lot of authors I've spoken to say the characters become alive in their head and tell the author what to write. Is this true for you?
It is true, but it really depends on the context in which you're writing. For example, I'm a dad. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old boy. And so in writing the prequel for this series, Cameron, the protagonist in the trilogy, is 23. Well, we're going back 16 years for the invasion, and he's 7, roughly the same age as my oldest son. So I'm channeling a lot of my 8-year-old son into 7 and 8 and 9-year-old Cameron. I'm channeling a lot of my 5-year-old son into 3-year-old Ruddy, his brother. So that's been really cool to be able to do that. The characters were already alive from the previous work, so I had some idea of how they operated, how they functioned, what they talked like. But for the most part, I'm injecting a lot of Aaron Ryan as a daddy of children into the prequel, and I'm I'm writing it. They're not telling me what to write. It's lived experiences, migrating into print, which also I think is just very cool.
I absolutely love that. And for you, what do you think is a typical day like when you are sitting down and writing?
Yeah. So ultimately, it's a mixture of voiceovers and authoring. I have to, voiceovers pay our bills right now. Authoring does not yet, but voiceovers pay our bills. So it's very reflexive, reactive career voiceovers. You're kind of a doctor with a pager. And so waiting for those auditions to come in, you have to jump on them right away. In between those, punctuating those moments of, all right, got an audition into the studio. I'm doing writing, I'm doing research, I'm doing marketing. I fully intend for the scale to tip someday where voiceovers will eventually take a backseat to authoring. And that is the plan because AI has really done a work on voiceover artists' careers everywhere. So it's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah, I definitely understand and get that. Related to the group Coffee and a Good Book, do you drink coffee while you're writing?
Right here every morning. And so I will tell you the precise ingredients. So it is a butter toffee coffee Keurig K cup. If you're familiar with Keurig machines, it's a little butter toffee coffee K cup you put in there. That plus about 6 or 7 mini marshmallows, plus a stevia, plus some hazelnut creamer. And oh my gosh, it's a recipe for it's crack. Really, I'm not going to say it's a recipe. It's crack. So every morning I need to have my coffee, or it's basically kind of a dismal day. I love my coffee. Love it.
Well, that sounds really good. I
Delicious.
myself don't drink coffee because I haven't found the right one yet. I feel like there's a special flavor that I need to find.
You need to find butter toffee coffee with hazelnut creamer. I'm telling you, it's really like I would die without it.
You kind of answered this a bit in the beginning. As a child, did you know you wanted to be a writer, or did you have another career in mind?
I didn't know necessarily that I wanted to be a writer. I knew that I wanted to create. I've been a very creative man since I was a boy. And my 8-year-old, who is right this one right here, if you can make out that picture. And I don't know if you can see his brother is right next to him, Asher. But Brennan is my 8-year-old, and he is exceptionally creative. I have no idea where he gets it from. Um, I just knew I wanted to do a lot of things. I was interested in dance. I don't have the figure for that anymore, but I was interested in Michael Jackson style dancing. I was interested in singing. I was interested in poetry and authoring and just crafts. Putting together crafts. Always been creative that way, and that has been a primary motivator throughout my life of making money. um, and funding our dreams and funding our family based on creative pursuits. That's just how I'm wired, and I it's hard for me to think any other way.
I definitely understand that feeling though. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Um, yes, so you did mention you have kids. So how do you go about writing and being an author while you have a handle on kids? I ask this because there are so many people who also want to create but have kids and feel like they're stuck. Do you have any advice for that?
Mm. Well, they're definitely inspiration and great fodder for storytelling, for sure. And I think that's true of every family with kids, and you know, you have an author in the mix there. You have so much material that's being generated every single day. The I totally lost my train of thought. My son is seriously just an entertainer. And so, you know, a lot of him I get, you know, channeled into the books. Asher is becoming a lot more like his older brother, Brendan, here. So, you know, there's a lot of entertainment that goes through there, but you have to be in the moment. Um, I find often that I am compromising, especially when I'm on the you know, the pursuit of a really good story. I'm compromising. I'm at my laptop when I could be over there playing a game with the kids. Got to be really careful about that. Um, it's a balancing act, but you know, they are both in school. Summertime will be here. However, I do work. I'm the breadwinner for our family. I've got a stay-at-home wife. Um, and so I want to provide for them, and I do that out here. So the kids will come visit every now and then, not during school because they're at school, but after school or during the summer, they'll come out and they'll visit, and it's always a nice, like, hey buddy, come here, big hug. Um, I'm not the kind of dad that is like, you know, this is my space and you're banished. I just don't function that way. I'm not wired that way.
That's very lovely. So what is the most surprising thing you learned in creating your books?
Um, well, so there is a character that I killed off in volume one, and again, I mentioned earlier, it's really hard to do that. It's heart wrenching to do that. These are everyone in here is my children. You know, they're all people that I have invented, and they're all my creations, and I care about every single one of them as if they were 100% tangibly real. To kill off one of them, I did not do that cavalierly. It was to demonstrate the ferocity and the sheer terror that these things can invoke. They are not to be trifled with. They're not a, you know, a pit bull that might go savage. They are 100% savage through and through. So to kill that person off, I was disassembled in the writing, bawling. I was disassembled in the editing, going back over that part, bawling. I was disassembled. I'm the voiceover artist. I record my books myself. I was disassembled in the recording of it, revisiting that scene. And so I discovered just how emotionally invested I was in the story, but in the characters especially. I had no idea it was going to move me so much, or that it was going to disassemble me so much.
That is very understandable. Do you think other authors feel the same way when they kill off their people?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I run I admin a 32,000 member authors group on Facebook, and we have conversations like this from time to time. There are other authors groups independent of Facebook that you talk, you know, you have conversations and you meet up and blah blah blah. It's a running theme, and it's something that's very shared in common. You love these people, especially if they are in any way remotely similar to people you care about in real life. It's almost like a version of the Matrix. This synthetic version of you inside these pages mirrors the real person. And if that person dies, you know, a little piece of this person dies with you. And it's just, you carry this sorrow, but they're still alive. It's just a weird, it's a weird dichotomy to be in. Um, anyway, that's a mouthful.
How do you go by creating a character?
Well, it's very pantser oriented. Again, I fly by the seat of my pants. When I set about writing Dissidents Volume 1 Reality, there's a constant recipe, like a cookie cutter recipe that a lot of people will, I'll say, fall prey to when they structure a book, and that's you have the the protagonist who has struggles and dreams and aspirations. You have the damsel in distress who needs rescuing. You have the renegade pirate kind of guy who's lone ranger who gets caught up in the mix, and then you have the wise old sage, the wizardish type character, the advisor. And I wanted to proceed down that path, and then I realized, no, I don't. Everyone does that. I want to be unique, so I don't really have any of that. They are two brothers in the book. One is older and younger brother, and there are people who come across their path that join forces with them in the military, but it's not the conventional approach to writing, and I did that on purpose. I wanted it to be unique.
Do you have any inspiration from other books that you may have read?
Well, this is sci-fi, obviously, but I'm a massive fan of the quintessential work of fiction ever. It's fantasy fiction, but nonetheless, J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. It will stand as the undisputed heavyweight for all time of creative fiction, and I love it. I'm much more inspired visually, and as such, I've written all three of these books and the fourth one very visually, so they would translate well to the screen. So I'm much more inspired by sci-fi movies and the Hunger Games trilogy and I Am Legend and Aliens and the guerrilla warfare, even things like Starship Troopers and Predator. So I'm more movie inspired. On this note, though, I want to say and go down in this chat saying that my volume 1 is currently being adapted to a screenplay for pitching to major streaming networks like Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Prime Video, Paramount Plus, Apple TV Plus, and I am tremendously excited to see where that goes. So, high
Oh,
hopes.
me as well.
Yeah.
That sounds very exciting, and if it does go onto a streaming service, I would definitely watch it.
So would I, like a 12-year-old schoolgirl, just behind my knuckles, just like this. So it looked like Yari actually asked about published poems, and yes, I do. If you go to my author page on Amazon or my website at authoraaronryan.com, you'll see I just actually recently published a book called Reflections. It's a collection of poems that I'd written, I don't know, decades in the works. So yes, I do.
Looks like she's also interested in watching the movie if it comes out, or the
Yeah,
show.
I can't wait.
Super exciting. And speaking of inspiration, do you ever get any inspiration from your dreams or maybe other places?
Um, yeah, I would say that's. I don't remember a specific concrete example right now, but sure, you wake up and well, that was a weird dream, and I'm sure that even subconsciously or inadvertently, it's migrated to the pages somehow. Uh, it's hard to say that quantitatively because dreams are so fluid and fleeting, and you remember this much of the actual dream. So yeah, yes, maybe.
I definitely understand that. I have some of my own work that I've been writing that was based off of nightmares I've had.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's the nightmares will come, and so will the books.
Okay. And how do you handle writing block?
I haven't really had writer's block. It's not something that I've ever really struggled with. I am a kind of a just go and do it. I'm very very driven. I'm gonna knock on wood and say I hope I don't ever struggle with writer's block, but um, I firmly believe that you need to take a break every now and then. And so when you're able to take that break, you're able to get that breath of fresh air, start over. But it's never been something where I'm just like, I have no idea what to write. I just, again, pantser, you dive in, you see where the story takes you. If you don't like it, you backtrack later and then you come up with something hopefully better.
That makes sense, and that must feel very great for you not to have any writer's block.
Yeah, it's actually really sad when you see in the forums and Facebook groups the naysayers who profess that such a thing doesn't exist. It's almost like saying, I mean, they stalwartly maintain there's no such thing. These are the same people that say imposter syndrome is a joke or a hoax, or analysis paralysis is a hoax. They're not. People can definitely get stuck in any of those things, and they need help out. Uh, it's kind of sad when people attack the condition and turn it into an ad hominem attack against the person, when it really, you got to acknowledge that is something they're struggling with.
Yep. And I'm definitely an advocate for that, and also burnout. I'm a big advocate on making sure you don't get that burnout because some people will push themselves towards it.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
You ever see like mistakes in your books or things that you could have done differently after it's already published?
Nope, not at all. It's absolutely perfect. So the most frustrating thing is getting to the stage of the audiobook, and then realizing, yes, I've edited this. Yes, I gave it to someone else and they edited it. And then I did a final read through. Um, and then, you get to the audiobook, and you're still finding missing open quotes or closed quotes, missing punctuation, repeated words, misspellings that the editor didn't catch, and just like, what the heck, it's seriously irritating. The nice thing is, and I'm a perfectionist, so I'm not, but by this time I've ordered a whole bunch of these books that have these errors in them, and it's frustrating. I want to put out a good product, and I know that when I read something and it's got a misprint or a typo or grammatical or spelling or punctuation error, those things trip me up, and I kind of go, I'm not sure if I really want to read this, when I come across that in someone else's work. So I have to be very, very careful. I am one who is very excited, like a happy puppy. I got to get this book out, but I can, I need to continue. I'm still learning this. I need to put the pedal to the metal for writing and completely ease off during the editing and publishing process, and go as slow as humanly possible, because that's where you have to catch all these errors.
That is true. And Yari asked, do you have an ARC group?
I do not have an advanced readers copy group. I do have several people in my life that I like to. I mean, they follow me on social media, and hey, want to be an ARC reader? Sure. Want to be a beta reader? Sure. And these people do. They do step up and they volunteer, and I've got a small pool of people who are close. I keep close to the chest to read these in advance of them being published. So advanced reader copies are, it's kind of a mixed bag, because I'm a little bit of a cynic. That comes out in my protagonist in this story, and I don't ever want to give something out there to people that I don't know. People who are across the world who state that they have good intentions, and while my work is poor man copyrighted by me, it might not be completely copyright protected in the U.S. Library of Congress yet. So I don't want to put things out there in cyberspace that aren't protected. So I'll give them to a trusted small group of people.
That makes a lot of sense. You should always protect your work as best as you can. And another question, what is the best way you found to reach new readers? Social media, shows, crowdfunding, or anything else?
Yeah, Len, I loved that you included the word shows in there. So I used to be a wedding videographer. Excuse me. I'll never again do that. Just hated it. I hated doing the weddings, but I absolutely loved, and I've rediscovered how much I loved it, doing trade shows and vendor markets and craft fairs. You never want to go to a book fair and be a vendor there, because then you're clamoring for the attention of all these other authors, and you're not unique in any way. As an author at a craft fair, vendor market, trade show, whatever, I'm completely unique. Everyone else has their crafts, and these are mine. And so it's wonderful to be able to go out there and meet people directly, have a big booth with my name on it, have these books standing there in front of me, on the table, and I get to talk about them. I love trade shows. But I'm very active on social media, posting content organically. I've run promotions through sources like Written Word Media and the Fussy Librarian and Book Raid and Book Barbarian and all of those ones. Pretty Hot Books. There's a bunch of them that you can post on and gain traction. The other way is simply just it's social media. Continuing to post content on social media. However, you have to really, from the very start, if you desire to be an author, take your family and friends and just throw them way over there, because you would think they're going to be the ones that like, hey, Aaron's writing a book, let's rally behind him. No, they're almost nowhere to be found. They'll tell you, hey, that's exciting, and they'll come and they'll eat the free pizza that you provide at a party celebrating the release of your novel. And they'll buy there, but on social media, it's just all about scrolling. So it's really hard to try to get the attention of family and friends. So I tend to post in other areas. Crowdfunding, I've never done. I don't need to crowdfund. We've got plenty of resources in order to share the books and publish them and get them out there.
Yeah, I definitely seen what you said. Definitely true. I'm constantly on social media. I'm a social media manager. I content create, and I definitely see that a lot of times you have to find your like supporters. They're not always going to be your family or friends. You have to find those special people.
Yeah. Do post in groups. Do post regularly. If people choose not to follow you, fine. Maintain a blog for sure. Maintain a blog and invite people to subscribe and share regularly. Don't take unsubscribes and unfollows personally. Leave them alone and forget about them. You're going to get other people that come along and support you in your journey. Post on social media. Post on Facebook, Twitter. You see these posts all the time on Twitter where people say, "Hey, it's time for it's Wednesday Writers Lift Day. Post your links here." Yes, you'll get spammed and people will approach you with scammy proposals for marketing. They are coming out of the woodwork in all of the Facebook groups and Twitter. You have to really be careful. They are impersonating good, legitimate authors now too, so you have to be very careful. But do post everywhere you can, and don't be and be shameless about it, because that's the only way you're really going to get the word spread.
Do you do interviews like this often?
Yeah, if you go to authoraaronryan.com/news, you'll see on there every bit of activity that I have and have coming up, including all the trade shows, the interviews that I have done, and there've been several. I love doing interviews and talking about my books. The interviews are just a great way to, especially if it has good exposure, there's a large following and a lot of people listening or watching. It's a great way to just, they put the face with the name. Here's this, grumpy looking guy on the back of the book who is, that's my picture I have everywhere. Well, I don't necessarily look like this all the time, but they see the excitement. They go, oh, he's really passionate about his book. And it's not just a monster book or an alien book. It is a story with an incredible weight and heart that's grounded in reality, not squeaky science fiction in the future that's antiseptic and wiped down and glossy. No, it's gritty and dirty and a hard fought battle that's going on, and I love talking about it.
Yes, I agree. I'm a person who is an introvert, and usually I don't like videos, but I am a firm believer of showing yourself and showing who you are as a person, because people are going to want to see that, and they're
Yeah,
definitely going to be more towards it rather than just seeing your book posted or just like pictures and quotes. They're going to want to see you for how you are.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have to generate a real thick skin, because there's too many cancel. The cancel culture is just, it's ridiculous. It's proliferated everywhere, and people don't have thick skins anymore because of social media. So you have to develop that thick skull, that thick skin, that integrity, where the bullets and the arrows and the critiques just bounce off of you, and you have to write what is near and dear and true to you. If you love it, mission accomplished. Not everyone is going to. Not everyone likes sci-fi or books about aliens. Um, and they'll miss the point entirely of your whole story. They'll pick one little sentence that they disagree with, and the whole book sucks. They'll throw their hands up and write a negative review. Just move on. I mean, easier said than done, but just move on. Oh, I think Yari's actually asking that question, is handling
Yes.
critics. Oh, and then
Oh,
Len asked a question too.
yep. Len asked, "What are some of your favorite digital distribution outlets?"
So I am entirely self-published, Len. I've produced when I get, let's see. Yes, when I publish Dissonance Volume 0 Reckoning, which is the prequel to my trilogy, that will be my 14th book published. The 13th one was just published. That's Reflections. But the 12th one is the final installment in this trilogy, which is Dissonance Volume 3 Reckoning. I wrote that first, so that's my 12th. And then I published the 13th, which is the poems book. And then the 14th is the prequel. So I've published all of them through Kindle Direct Publishing. It's easy for me to use, but I have also gone through Ingram Spark and Draft 2 Digital. Ingram Spark because, well, I'm going to say this with a caveat. When you publish through Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, you have to really beware of the exclusivity clause. You're bound for 90 days to KDP and their expanded distribution, which means you cannot go through Ingram Spark or Draft 2 Digital or put it anywhere else, because you're bound to that, that clause with KDP. As such, you miss out on places like Barnes and Noble, and that's huge for me. I actually have a Barnes and Noble in-store book signing coming up in August, and I would not have that were my books not available through Ingram Spark. So I do all three, and I mean, it's tripling your efforts. Of course, it would be nice if there was one source that just said, "Go through us. We'll put it absolutely everywhere." It's hard. It just does involve some doubling up of efforts, but I prefer KDP for its ease of use. We are, avid Amazon users. Packages come every week. And yeah, it's the easiest one for me.
Funny enough, you just answered one of my questions about signing books. So, how often do you sign books?
Well, I mean, Len asked earlier about the different types of exposure, and I mentioned craft shows and vendor markets and stuff, and book signings. Those are all book signings, by the way. They're all paid for opportunities. I pay for them to host a booth and get out there and tell people about the books. So this summer is absolutely booked. Did you see what I did there? It's absolutely booked. With books. So June, there's one happening May 25th, so not this weekend, but next. And then every single weekend in June. Some of them are 3-day trade shows. One weekend in July will be gone. I think actually maybe 2 weekends in July. Then we have 2 weeks in Hawaii, and then I have a few in August, and one already in September, and one in November. So I will do them at local libraries. I've done them, but oftentimes the library, they're non-sponsored events unless your book is actually in their system. We are in Thurston County, Washington. My books are in King County, Washington. So I would have to approach, libraries up there and say, can you host a book signing? And then they would allow me to sell the books, on site. I love doing the shows though. So there you go.
Well, that's really awesome to have your summer pretty much booked. It's a great thing.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's work. It's definitely work. You have to bring so much stuff. Books are heavy. So I've got, a big Pelican case with all my books. I've got another case. I've got another case. I've got a canopy, a 10 by 10 canopy. I've got banners. I've got an 8-foot folding table. I've got a roller cart. There's just a lot of stuff to bring. And it takes some time to set it up, but man, it looks great when it's all set up. And I can't wait to show some pictures of my new booth setup.
And now, between all this writing and voice acting, do you leave any time to read others' books?
Yes, but I find that I often will get into another person's book and I will just simply go, and I'll put it aside and I'll go right back to Lord of the Rings again. It's just kind of I love it. Um, However, some great advice was given to me by my screenwriter Alan Roth with Act Two Media in preparing for writing the screenplay. He's actually writing it now, and he shared the first bits with me last Thursday. In preparing for the pitch of this trailer, this pilot of my book, which would be a show, pitching to producers, he said you have to go back and you have to read your books all the way through again, because those producers are going to know, they're going to go to the source material and they're going to know your books really well, and you would just be, they can't know it better than you do, you know. So geez, the first book was 86,000 words. The last one was 150,000 words, whatever. It behooves me to go back and just review my own material and keep it fresh. And unfortunately, that's where you find, yet another error on the pages, and like, ugh. But it's constant refining. At least I'm not, George Lucasizing everything and putting in crappy CGI as I go along.
Yep. And what do you think makes a good story?
One of the things that I really like is a quote. I always forget his name. Hang on a second. I'm going to pull up this quote. Vladimir Nabokov said, "The writer's job is to get the main character up a tree, and then once they're up there, throw rocks at them." I love that phrase because that's the goal of any story: is take your beloved character. Everything's not all hunky-dory. They have to get from A to B. How do they get there? Well, they're going to be sidelined along the way, and you have to sideline them. So there needs to be conflict. There needs to be a respite. There needs to be character development. You got to have the classic ingredients of friendship and love and trust and betrayal. You can pack all those into a book without it being, over compressed. And it's really important to do so. I think any book, though, that you write is going to be something that you care about. And so naturally, in the caring, you're going to put care. I know that sounds redundant, but you're going to put care in your story. You're going to care for it. And so you'll instinctively know what you need to put into it to make it good.
That's great. And do you ever collaborate with other people when you're like writing?
No, I don't. I mean, I'll collaborate with my wife. My wife will make editorial decisions. My wife is actually an editor, and she'll make editorial decisions and say, "This is not true to his character," or "This is something that she would not say," or "This is resolved too quickly." There needs to be more tension. You have to honor the tension of this moment, and so go back and flesh this out. She is a tremendously good and effective editor, and I've been really blessed to have her edit my past few books. But collaboration with someone in terms of the writing process, I don't know if my ego could handle that or theirs could handle it, because you have to blend those really well. And writers are prima donnas, just like any other artist. We have our own desires, we have our own intentions and aims, and how we want to see things evolve in the story, and it's hard to balance those with someone counter pushing against you with their own ideas. So I don't know if I can handle that.
I definitely understand and agree. And it's amazing that you can have somebody to work with, like your wife.
Yeah, she's wonderful. I think I'm going to
So
keep her.
with your book cover, do you make those yourself?
I have, yes, I do. I actually use a program that's very similar to Illustrator. It is, I always forget the name, Affinity Designer.
Mhm.
Hold on a second. It is Affinity Designer. Yeah. So long story short, is I became really disenchanted with Adobe's pricing structure and subscription model, and just kind of getting hamstrung into that process. So I sought out something that was a one-time purchase. Love Affinity Designer. One time does everything that Illustrator can do for you and more. Um, and Illustrator, in fact, would not open Illustrator files for some reason. Affinity Designer would open them. I don't get it. So I loved it. But I do have graphic design experience. I have designed them. I did not design the creatures. So there is a person I found on ArtStation who had designed this guy. I looked at him and said, "Oh, that's the Gorgon. That's what I need." He added the mist. And then I said, "Do you still have that model? I need a front view of that same creature, coming at you." And so that's where we got this. It's the same one. It's just, from a different angle. And he raised his arms. And then he's given me other iterations of them. The other one will be coming. I wish I could upload a photo and show you. The other one will be coming on the cover for Dissonance Volume 0 Revelation, the prequel. It's when they first arrive, they drift out of the sky and they're just hanging there, staring up at the sky with their eyes closed for 3 months. And you're going, what are these things? Why are they here? I got that iteration. It's creepy. Ugh.
Do you have any advice for aspiring authors?
The number one advice I could give is yes. Long story. There's a ton of pieces of advice, but the number one advice is what Oscar Wilde said: be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Don't copy. Don't imitate. Write your own material. There's nothing worse. And we talked about this earlier. Reading something and you just go like, there's nothing worse. I've read books where, I won't name the author, but hers is a dead giveaway copy of Hunger Games. Is there stuff that has merit? Sure. Is there some original content? Yes, but it's dwarfed by the mammoth imposing reflections of Hunger Games that you constantly butt up against. That's Hunger Games, and that's Hunger Games, and that's Hunger Games, and that's Hunger Games. It was a ripoff. So be yourself by far. That's the biggest advice I could ever give. Number 2, really watch out for scammers. They are rife in the authoring industry. Be careful of the people out there who say they are a great marketer, or they impersonate legitimate authors now. You have to be really careful and ask them pointed questions and determine that they are in fact legitimate. The third thing is don't use AI. Please don't use AI. You are a human. Write human material humanely. I have a phrase that I've copyrighted and I'm going to put it on shirts. If it ain't human, then it ain't for me. If it AI ain't human, then it AI ain't for me. Because it's cheating, really is what it is. And as a voiceover artist, AI is coming for our careers. People are using AI voices now, like Siri and Alexa and Bixby and all the other ones, to accomplish what a human is supposed to do. And it's just saddening. It's just cheating. Don't do it, please.
I kind of agree with you, especially because sometimes when you read or view a book and you're getting into it and somebody used AI, you can just sometimes tell. It feels like there's no real life to it
Mhm.
in a way. I don't really know how to explain it, but that is kind of what it is if you just have AI write your whole entire book for you.
Well, or sometimes it just feels way too perfect, and there's a problem there. You should encounter errors. I'm not saying you should, fill your book with glaring plot holes, but put things in there that make the reader question. You're supposed to take the reader on a journey, not let a computer do it for you. I think it's really tacky. It's really cheap, and there's just so many people out there seeking to make a quick buck through sidestepping
Mhm.
the process. I'm engaging my brain every day by writing good creative material. And I wish everyone would do the same thing with their own brains, not a computer chip, CPU, by the way.
That's true. There is some other people that I have interviewed who mentioned that you're going to want to do it for the love of the craft and not to make money off of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It should all be there are arguments to be made. Some people say, uh, I don't write for money. I write for the hobby, right? Or for the enjoyment of it. Well, okay, that's fine. But you have to also concede that if your book decided to go viral and sell like hotcakes, your motivation would change. And Of course, I love writing for the enjoyment of it, but I also would love to provide for my family by doing
Mhm.
something that I love.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna want both of them. You're gonna wanna feel proud of your work and happy and enjoy it,
Yep.
and you're gonna wanna have the money as well. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Everybody needs money.
Yep.
And do you know any common misconceptions that people might have about being an author?
Misconceptions about being an author. Boy, I think not that I can easily pinpoint. I mean, if I get more kind of typecast and misperceived as a voiceover artist, because they think voiceover artist is somebody who just does silly voices for cartoons, and that's just not the case. Yes, it's one genre that you can pursue, but authors, nah, I've never heard of any stereotyping or misconceptions other than sitting at a desk typing all day, and that's not true. I get out, I exercise, I spend time with my family, I create, I market. Um, yeah,
Okay, well, looks like we have our last question, which is where can we find your work? You may have stated it earlier, but we can just state it one more time.
yeah, no, thank you. So the easiest way you can go to either authoraaronryan.com, or you can go to dissonancetheseries.com. And so dissonance, not dissidence, but dissonance, the series.com. Go to the shop page, and then you'll find purchase links to get a direct copy from me, signed by me with a bookmark and a pen. Um, or you can, and there are also links on there to go to Amazon for Kindle, paperback, hardcover, audiobook. And then there are other links for in case you're on a site like Smashwords or Barnes and Noble or Kobo, you know, Tolino, Palace Marketplace. There's Viblio. There's all those Apple Books. There's all those other pages and sites you can go to as well. So dissonancetheseries.com or aaronryan.com, and just follow the rabbit trail to Dissonance.
Awesome. Well, I had a lot of fun meeting with you today and talking and getting behind the scenes. It's always very exciting to do that. We're hoping to have more events coming up for authors in the group to make the group more feel more author friendly. So I hope that you can join us in some of those.
Yeah, that'd be great. Love to. Always wonderful. It's a dream come true to be able to sit here, write books, people buy them. I've sold I don't know 1,600 copies between the two books ish since January, and those are 1,600 votes of confidence. I'm really great. Best selling sci-fi new arrival for Dissonance Volume 1. People like it. It's turning into a screenplay. Get the book before it turns into a Netflix production, because you're gonna love it. These things are truly terrifying, and it's a really uh, beautiful story of growth and faith and friendship and trust that Cameron goes on in my book. So thank you.
Oh yeah, my favorite part, comparing a book to a TV show or movie.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting.
And I hope you let us know when your book finally is out, your new one.
Yeah, this Saturday. This Saturday. So you can buy the entire trilogy this Saturday on Amazon or direct. And then and all the other places as well, Barnes and Noble. The prequel will probably be out by July. I won't say June because we'll need to edit it as well. But the prequel will be out, and the prequel is loaded with heart. It's before the invasion, before the attack, and it's loaded with family and laughing and joy and everything that life is all about. And then it all, catastrophically goes wrong. So,
Awesome. Well, thank you for meeting with me today.
yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
And